Ah, welcome traveler. Come in, take a seat and put up your feet. Today, we are diving into a game called Dawn of Man, a prehistoric city building survival game, where we will be cooking up some roleplay to enhance the gameplay. This is part 7 in our multi-part series, and if you'd like to see more of this, please like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Let's get cooking. And we return once more to the River Clan, building their settlement in a prehistoric paradise. On the last episode, we went ahead and constructed the farmland here, as well as stables and some hay piles, or haystacks. And we also went and built 4 granaries over here as well, and looked a little bit at upgrading huts. That was our first step into the Neolithic age, which we can see over here. And we still have quite a lot that needs to be unlocked as we progress through this age and get our settlement up to standards. Now the plan for today's episode is to look at upgrading our huts over here to increase our population, as well as upgrading our storage so that we're no longer reliant on skin tents. The thing is that you have to be constantly repairing these buildings, and if we're going to have buildings made out of skins, we have to be doing a lot of hunting. And that's not precisely what we want to be doing, as we're slowly going over from a hunter-gatherer community into a more agrarian farming culture. And now we should have 4 goats. Fantastic. They'll have enough space to live here. The animals will wander around during the good seasons, and then during winter time they'll come and actually hide inside the stables. So as long as we can ensure that we're just getting enough food during these, well, spring, summer, and fall, then we should be good for the winter when it comes to our animals. Although I do want to have a look at actually setting up some more of the fields. So in order to do that, I'm going to come in here, say obtain stone. To set this as really small, I just want to get rid of this patch of stone here. Those are not really in the way, but that is. Here's the mouflon. And, oh. There we go. So you see over here. So young mouflon, you can actually come in and capture them. So it requires a sheep domestication. So unfortunately we don't have that yet. In my previous episode I said that the ibex couldn't be caught. I was incorrect with that. They can, you just need to get the young ones. So if an animal is already fully grown, an adult, you can't tame them, but you can try to capture and tame the young ones to turn them into domesticated animals. Just a little error that needed to be corrected on my side. So autumn is almost over, and as soon as we have progressed through that, I do want to have a look at getting these houses upgraded. Our workload is quite high, but it's okay, it's still within acceptable parameters. 150% to 180% is still okay in my books. It starts becoming a problem when we're looking at 200% plus. Now what we also want to have a look at here is just to be careful not to upgrade all of our houses in one go. At the moment we do have a capacity for 31 and a population of 29, which means we do actually still need our houses quite badly. But we will have enough resources here to upgrade this. As soon as we are sure that this is done being harvested, we can set this to be upgraded in the winter time. Now, I do want to focus on doing the housing first, and the main reason for this is that the more houses we have, the more population cap we have, the more people we can get. The more people we have, the more the workforce or the workload is spread out across the workforce, and that means the more farming we can do. The more farming we can do, the more food we can generate, and the more food we can generate, well, the more people we can have, and this becomes a cycle. But it does start with increasing this cap. We are fine with food already for the time being for our current population, but it's going to be a tricky balancing game, at least until we are well established and comfortable in a farming society. Right, so it is winter time now, and all of our crops were harvested. Our villagers just need to work at bringing all of the straw and grain in and placing it in storage. Luckily, we've got easy storage over here set up in the haystacks. This one's filling in quite nicely. I'm quite excited to see a full haystack. It should be around about that size. As you can see here, our animals do need food, so our villagers will start bringing straw in, placing it inside the stables, so that our 4 goats will have food for during the winter time. And what we also want to do is, now that our population's actually dropped to 28 due to the unfortunate death of quite an elderly member of the community, we will now actually be looking at upgrading one of these houses. And it should be able to happen quite easily, as the rest of the huts and this house here as well will still provide enough space for everybody else to be comfortable and warm during the winter time, while our people go deconstruct this house and rebuild it into a proper hut.
Swing the axe with mighty force, drag the logs with brute discourse, mud and straw to build our throne, home in earth our roots have grown. Stone by stone we lay the walls, echoes of our ancient calls. Barefoot legends tread the ground, in our hut our spirits found. Hail the fire that lights our night, in this circle hearts unite. Mud and straw we weave our lore, in the dance of days before. Skies of amber see us through, sun and moon, both worlds we knew. Forge the roof and let it be, shelter from eternity. Drums of birth and life reborn, in this place no one's forlorn. Hunger's cry we now appease, with the fruits from ancient trees. Hail the fire that lights our night, in this circle hearts unite. Mud and straw we weave our lore, in the dance of days before.
There we go. Our second hut has been completed, and we can slowly look at increasing our population with that by periodically upgrading the hut every now and then. Something we will have to be very careful with is managing this workload. Just building that hut alone pushed our workload into 200 to 250% and took quite a bit of time away from the fields. There's very little time in spring actually left. You see, I'm getting a warning again. There's still very little time left in spring to actually finish sowing the seeds here. So we are going to have to hope that our people can get that all done before it transitions from spring into summer, because then we miss our window to plant the fields. This is why I said it's a very fine balancing act that you have to do when going into this age. A balancing act between making sure that you are producing enough food while also increasing your population through the upgrading and building of additional houses, while making sure that you're never having too much of a workload where your people aren't actually getting to the important task, which is planting the fields, keeping your community going, ensuring you have enough food. It's also important to keep up with the rest of your food generating sources, the hunting, the gathering, the fishing, things like that. It is important to keep that up and running. And speaking of hunting and gathering, here is actually a group of wild donkey that have crossed into our lands. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark all of these to be hunted. We are getting to the end of spring here, and I think we might be fine. There's just these 6 little tiny plots here, tiny little areas inside these farm plots that still need to be planted, but I think our people should be fine. We have one gentleman coming over here who looks like he's going to be planting, so I think we should be fine for autumn. And then we can actually look at dedicating the summertime to upgrading some more huts. Our animals should be fine. We have enough storage for possible hay at the moment. As you can see, quite a bit is here. One is still completely empty, so it should still be fine. Although our villagers are starting to age out. Many of them are dying of old age, so we do need to look at getting that population growing again, be that through reproduction or enticing new people to join our settlement. Right, we're into summer. These crops can now be left to grow on their own. It's not a major thing that our workload and our workforce will be focusing on, but we do need to look at getting these huts up and going to increase our population, get more hands to work the land. I'm going to take a bit of a gamble here and try to do 2 huts at the same time, and we'll see if that pays off. It is a bit risky because there is no guarantee that it will be completed in the same season, or that you'll even have enough housing space when doing this. Because remember, once you upgrade a hut, they come in, they break it down, and they have to rebuild it from the floor up. So for that short period in time, you have no huts essentially. That does not provide any housing. As you can see, this has just changed now, down to 26. So we're going to hope that our people here can get these 2 completed very quickly. But we'll monitor the situation, and oh, we have more people that have joined. Okay, we definitely need to get these huts up and going as soon as possible.
Swing the axe with mighty force, drag the logs with brute discourse, mud and straw to build our throne, home in earth our roots have grown. Stone by stone we lay the walls, echoes of our ancient calls. Barefoot legends tread the ground, in our hut our spirits found. Hail the fire that lights our night, in this circle hearts unite. Mud and straw we weave our lore, in the dance of days before. Skies of amber see us through, sun and moon both worlds we knew. Forge the roof and let it be, shelter from eternity. Drums of birth and life reborn, in this place no one's forlorn. Hunger's cry we now appease, with the fruits from ancient trees. Hail the fire that lights up.
And there we go. Our 2 huts are now finished, and our population cap has increased to 34, which is significantly larger. This is also going to be a lot easier to maintain. As you can see, these huts here, they actually become deteriorated and require skins to be repaired. But these, no skins are required, so we can start setting up a sustainable way to repair our buildings. Now, I'm going to leave the buildings for now, for the time being, in that we're going to be transitioning over into fall, into autumn really soon. And we want to have our people focusing on bringing in the harvest so that we can ensure that we have enough food for the animals, as well as enough grain that can be turned into flour here at the mortars and then baked into bread at the fireplaces. We do also have milk from the goats, and what we can do with this is in winter time we can look at setting up some of this, the cheese makers, and turning that milk into cheese, into a better source of food. And here we are in fall now, and all of our people will have to focus on getting these crops harvested and bring in the produce. You can see here where we have at least 4 patches where we didn't quite get around to planting, and that I don't like to see that. I don't want to have that occurring again. So we need to be very careful with managing the workload, ensuring that we're getting these crops planted and harvested. They are our #1 priority at the moment in this Neolithic age. Our population is growing quite nicely as well. We are up to 31 people, and we do have quite a bit of knowledge here, 43, of which there are a few things I want to look at unlocking still in this episode, but it's just a word of advice. Be very careful in unlocking the pulse domestication right after you have come in and started establishing yourself in this age, because with these cereals, they are obviously now they're getting planted in the spring and harvested in the fall, and pulses are getting planted in the winter and harvested in the summer. So you're essentially taking up every single season for planting and harvesting. And if you don't have a large enough population and a workforce that can manage the workload, you will end up creating so much work that you cannot actually get around to expanding in any other way. You'll be so reliant on getting your crops planted and harvested that you won't have any time to actually expand and build your buildings. So we're going to hang back on this for a little bit, at least until our population rises up to a fair amount and we have enough farm plots set out where we can actually look at sustaining our growing population. Once that is sustainable, once the workload drops quite significantly to actually accommodate additional building while still looking after the farm plots, then we will look at upgrading the rest, as well as building additional buildings up on this side, more stables, and looking at unlocking the pulse domestication so that we can start putting in some farm plots over here specifically for the pulses. We're actually having a lot of our settlers dying due to old age, so that's also something to keep in mind the whole time, is you're going to have people dying and your population numbers will be constantly fluctuating. And we have just completed an additional milestone over here. Let's have a look at this. Oh well, bad camera angle here, but domestication has been completed. Now, what is domestication? Domestication should be over here. We can actually have a look here. Get 10 goats and 10 sheep. Fantastic. So we actually have quite a large population of domesticated animals now. These are essentially our goals, and we do still want to look at getting all of these Neolithic founder crops. But as I said, that will have to wait a bit. And we're having more people aging out, dying of old age. Oh, this is going to be a little bit of a difficult time, but hopefully we'll get in some fresh blood and some new hands to start working our land. Now, interestingly enough, this milestone over here, it says get 10 goats and 10 sheep, but you can actually complete that just by having 10 goats. As you see, I have no sheep here, just 10 goats, and I still got the milestone. I'm not sure if this is a bug or perhaps a typo. It could be get 10 goats or 10 sheep, or it's a bug and it's only calculating the one and completing the milestone anyway. Just something to keep in mind when you're playing the game. Right, so we've entered winter here, and we are going to have a look at building these cheese makers, or at least one of them, just so we can start with the production of cheese. Now, 4 granaries should be fine for the time being, so I'm going to place the cheese maker right next to them over here. And our workload's quite low, so we should be able to get this built in due time. Also, doesn't take too much. There's no mud used in the production of this. It's just the sticks, logs and straw, of which we have plenty. Now, hopefully our people can get that done, because I also want to have a look at possibly upgrading one of these storage huts. So we're going to set, we'll just do this one right over here. We'll set this one to be upgraded, and we'll watch them build throughout winter.
Once a tent, now a dream so grand, work of hands across this land. Ropes and hides to wooden walls, echoes ring as structure calls. Fire within to keep us warm, shield from rain against the storm. Crafting tools beneath this roof, in the space find our truth. From tent to hut we rise and build, future carved, our spirits filled. One stone set we sing our song, sky above where we belong. Left no more to sleep on ground, walls of strength around us bound. Grains and meats and corners store, room to grow forevermore. Hammers pound the rhythm true, creating dreams in morning dew. From a spark to endless light, heart of strength through day and night. Not just homes for us to stay, crafting space for tools of clay, huts to shape our world anew, dreaming big with tasks to do.
And there we go, our cheese maker has been completed and our storage hut has been upgraded. It offers significantly more storage space, as you can see here. It offers a whole additional row, which is really good for saving space in the village. You don't have to build additional buildings, just upgrade. It's the best way to go about it. And speaking of space, we actually got a few messages during that construction that we don't have enough space for all of our livestock. So we will definitely be looking at building an additional stable, perhaps in the summertime, as we are about to transition into spring, and spring has to be dedicated to planting our crops. You can see how people weren't even able to bring in all of the grain and straw due to the restricted storage space and the workload. But our population is growing quite nicely. We should be able to handle this. At least through the next year will definitely be a lot easier for us to handle the workload that should be popping up. And there we go, we're into spring, we've survived another winter, and we can have a look at setting all of this to the highest priority. And then we can have all of this planted. Now it seems like people have been praying quite a bit lately and have been leaving offerings and tokens of appreciation at these shrines in hopes of improving their lives. You can see they're not very happy right now. And I think we need to have a look at this, have a close investigation as to what could we possibly do to increase their quality of life. And over here we do actually have a scroll. Let's have a look at this. There's a little scroll tucked into the skull. Let's check this out. Right, so it looks like one of our settlers actually had a prophetic dream of what could possibly be done to increase their quality of life. From what I can make out from that drawing, it seems that there's a river and then some kind of spanning construct over it. Now my best guess to this is the bridge. So we're going to go unlock the stilting here in the text. And we'll look at setting up a proper bridge across this water. Hopefully that will help them so they don't have to trudge through the shallows here every time when they make their way from the village over to the farmland. Right, we've transitioned here into the summertime, and we weren't actually able to completely plant this plot over here. So we should be okay from looking at the amount of straw and of grain that we have, especially going into flour and bread. We should be able to make it for this winter, but we do need to be more careful with that. Now, the plan for summer is to address this request that we found in the drawing over here, and that's to go ahead and build a proper bridge for our settlers. So the way to go about setting up the bridge is to go over to your build menu. Here in transport, you should be able to select the bridge over here. Find an open spot, click and drag until it becomes available. And then we go place entity, and they'll come in and construct it. What we'll also be doing is setting up an additional stable as well. We do have a lot of goats at the moment and not enough space for all of them during the winter. So we'll go ahead and set this up here. And we'll also have a look at exactly how much space we're going to need for future animals as well. Now we do have a slight problem here in this tree and these rocks. So we need to make sure that we're coming in, setting up a stone collection area in order to remove them. But that's not of utter importance right now, as this stable should be fine, and if we do run out of space, we will have an additional one over here as well, which we're actually going to go ahead and set up right now. There we go. Things will slowly be built, and hopefully we can finish this all within the summertime. And our bridge is complete. Now, our villagers do still have this way to get across, but they will prefer to use the bridge now, which is a much better quality of life improvement for them. And in the future, we can look at setting up little bridges along the way for places where they need to get over, giving them easier access across this river. We have a raider attack coming in at the moment. In the previous time this happened, we actually lost the villagers, so we want to be a lot more careful this time. And we are also dealing with 4 of them, 2 with spears and 2 with axes. So what we're going to do is set the alert over here. Then everyone will run over here to the city center, or our village center, who can actually fight. And everyone who can't fight will go and hide inside the huts. Then what we can do is we can hold H, click and drag, and it'll select all of the people that are actually eligible for fighting. And we'll bring them over. Still more coming in. Bring them over to here. Keep an eye on where these raiders are. They're over there at the moment. Perhaps we go meet them, but I don't want to give them the high ground. Played enough tactical games and army games to never give the enemy the high ground, but I'm hoping that this doesn't apply in this game. And here we go. Battle is starting. There we go. So raiders are very much the same as animals in the sense of you kill enough of them and you unlock more knowledge. We've killed 6 raiders. I'm quite happy with that, and we lost no one in that attack. All of our people are celebrating. There we go. Well done. Good job. And everyone can go back to work and heal up, and we can try get these stables completed before summer runs out. We may actually look at cancelling this construction, so I don't think we're going to have enough time to build both. So let's just try focus on one for the time being. So we've actually gone ahead and transitioned into the fall, and we still don't have the stable built. Our workload is high, our people are dying of infections. That is what it is, but we need to get this constructed. We also have over here more and more goats being born, so we really need this space or our animals will start dying off a lot in the winter. Once this is constructed, which should be very soon, we can actually look at setting the priority to harvesting our crops. There we go, finishing touches, fantastic. Now we can come in here and Oh, great, is already set on high priority. So our people will look at doing this first. We have about 3/4 left of fall in order to get this done in. We're also baking a lot of bread, which is fantastic. As you can see here, you can actually have a look over here. We've already made 252 units of bread, which is good as it's now becoming a sustainable source of food for our people. And cheese is very quickly joining that list. So we should be okay food production wise. Now it just all comes down to, again, that careful balance between workload and population growth. So once this is harvested, again we will dedicate winter to upgrading some more huts and some more storage. I think the huts will take priority. Storage we can always look at doing once this is completed. We've actually finished all of the harvesting before the end of fall, and we have more goats being born here. So if we have a look over here, we now have 19 and we have space for 20, so just enough. So what we're going to do here quickly is go ahead and build an additional one. We finished the harvest, so we can actually now dedicate that time into that. It's a good thing we decided to build that stable, because our animals have actually gone and increased in number again right at the beginning of winter. So that would have been very problematic for us had we not already had this stable up and going. But we are fine now. So you'll see also here that they also need to be repaired regularly. So we'll leave our villagers up to do that as needed. We can now also look at upgrading some more huts as well. We have space for 34, so let's look at trying to get 2 huts done in this winter. There we go, our huts have been completed. It did take an extremely long time though, the whole of winter and 2/5 into spring. It was a risk I took, but it was not worth it. Not for the fact that we are now almost halfway through spring with a lot of fields that still need to be planted. That was a calculated risk, but boy am I bad at math. Right, so in future what we'll be doing is actually doing one of these huts at a time. We're not going to double up with huts again, it's way too risky. Something else we can also have a look at is here in the technology is actually going and getting well digging unlocked. Now what this will do is it will allow our people to have an easier access to water, and this will also later on turn into hydropower. But for the time being, it's just well digging. So we're going to unlock that, and we're going to come in here, and we're going to drop a little well here for our people as well. Go down to production, there's the well, and we can set it up here or anywhere really, and I'm actually going to do it over here so we're not in front of the bone structures. So we'll drop one there, I think should be fine, and that should give us a nice easy access to water. And why this is going to be very important is later on when we bring our settlement over to here, we're going to be quite far away from the water. So if we drop a well over here, then our people still have access, easy access to water. Right, well, we're just going to let them plant this, build that, and transition over into the summer. And here we go, we've transitioned into summer. All of our fields are planted. They're growing quite nicely in this season, and they can just keep growing all the way through to fall. And we can now have our people focusing on some other stuff while the workload has dropped. The well is yet to be finished building, but we can have a look at getting that up and going now. We need to get this finished so that we can look at upgrading another hut during the summer. Oh, we actually have a wolf attack right now happening all the way over here. That is not good. this guy's essentially dead. I mean, we can try and save him, but yeah, no, he is. Even if I click run, that wolf's just going to hit him once. He's dead. That's very unfortunate. Yep, you see. That sucks, but just means we have to get revenge for him. So we kill the wolf and the pups. Actually, you know what? We can set these to be captured. Turn them into dogs. And have them work for the betterment of the settlement. Hyenas can get taken out. Problem is that this is the closest flint source at the moment. We may actually have to look at very soon going and unlocking the mining. Then we no longer have to go collect flint out in the world. We can actually go into these sources, iron mines, and over here closer to the settlement, we actually have a flint mine that we can send people into it to go mine out the stuff from underground instead of looking around in the dangerous world and collecting. But that is much further in the future. For now, we just want to focus on getting our hut up and going. And that may take still quite a bit of time, as it's not only huts but also storage. Speaking of time, we are unfortunately out of time for today's episode. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, as that would greatly help the channel. If you'd like to be kept updated as to new videos being released, then please hit that notification bell. If you have any feedback, suggestions, or requests, leave a comment down below and let us know. Until next time, this is Roast Temp. Keep cooking.